So our discussion for this afternoon na to sa chapter 13, which is the shepherding the heart, chapter 13. And this afternoon it's kind of like different, no, because we're not going to learn new things. Okay, we are actually going to summarize everything that we have learned from chapter 1 to chapter 12. And I can't even believe, no, na naka chapter 12 naman di ita since we started it sometime November pa to doc, or yeah, I think, no, we started like mga end of November, kaya we were leaving sa Philippines that time, November 20, and we came in here, and chapter 2 ako ang nag-handle sa chapter 2. So can just imagine, no, 12 chapters. It was a long journey, but it was really a very kanang wonderful journey, learning a lot of truths good about child rearing and shepherding the our kids. And but before that, I would like to emphasize lang, no, what the author really wanted also to sa mga sa why niya giano ni siya na book, no, shepherding the heart, and what is really his vision and goal when he wrote this book. And I like what he quoted here sa book, in the beginning of the katong chapter sa book niya. It says there, the heart is the wellspring of life. We believe that every drive for meaning and significance originates in the heart. And when we miss the heart, we miss the gospel. So that is, the author is Dr. Ted Tripp. And again, the vision here that he wanted us to really see is more than just the behavior, more than having a well-behaved children. Ang vision gid niya is primarily focused on the heart, which is the which is really the wellspring of life, because he believed, and for sure we also agree with him, na everything, no, what we do and why we do what we do, has something to do with the heart. Okay, and so much more with our kids, no, knowing that uh the heart of the kids, no, even though we say that they are just kids, but naana na sa ilaha ang ang sinfulness of the heart, which is already nature, no, of every person, that ang heart gyud nato, no, there's always evil, and there's a lot of issues good in the heart. So what the author is really trying to emphasize here is, let's deal with the heart and not just the behavior. And I also like what the verse nag-emphasize for diri sa author is Proverbs 4:23. It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Now let's move on to the, again, this is not really long, kay ang pag-summarized here is ano lang gid sa author ang mga key points, no, the key concepts that will also help us remember easily. um, Again, for sure, no, there were a lot of things that we have learned. It could be an information overload, but what I like here in chapter 13 is na ano gid niya, no, na compress niya into six elements lang actually, that we can really remember, no, sa ato ang study. Number one element here, it says our children are the product of two things. So for sure you remember, no, we discussed about this, the shaping influence and also the Godward orientation. The shaping influence, that is the child's physical makeup and their life experiences. And if you remember that the picture, the diagram that was showed in that chapter, now we're in, there are the a human body with all these shaping influences surrounding that human body, and
Mm-mm.
it's pointing towards that body. So it's from outside that will eventually also influence, no, the child. So what are these six shaping influences? These are structure of the family, like uh like right now, before siguro sa unang panahon yun, no, when we say structure of the family, we can just easily say, a child can really say now, oh, there's a mother, there's a father, there's a
Mm.
brother, there's a sister, and then there's a lola, there's a lolo. But with our world right now, structure of the family can be so disoriented na gyud, no?
Mm.
There is what we call blended families, no, which it's so sad that the kids can be exposed to this, but sometimes they don't have a choice.
Mm.
And other than that, what we another shaping influence is the family values. The family values that inculcated sa mga kids uh, from the time, no, that they're born here in this world up to the time na they have ano na kanang naana sila kanang knowledge and ang wisdom, and then they really are aware na of what's going on in the world. And also family roles, if the child is the middle child ba, or if they comprises ba of a lot of siblings, unsa ba ang role, no, and what is the role of the family in the community. So different roles that the family portrays, no. And another thing is conflict resolution. How does the family deal with conflict? That can also affect the child. And another one is the family response to failure, especially kung may mga times our kids fail, what is our response to them? And also family history. Another one is the Godward orientation. It determines how they interact with that experience. So the difference here with this the shaping influences Godward orientation, the author laid these six shaping influences that which will impact our children, but the author also would like to emphasize here that this is not just the point, no, that to point out that it is not just the shaping influences alone that will determine gid ang type of person, type of child that they're going to be, because the author also explains here that regardless of the shaping influences, it is still the Godward orientation that determines how he will react to those influences. And these shaping influences, I guess we have a role to play here because we can control this. No, ang structure of the family, the values, what we teach our children, we are in control of that one. But their reaction, ang reaction nila towards that experience is is up to them, and really up to the God, up to their heart, no, ang giunsa nila pag digest or pag accept aning mga influences that they are surrounded with. So I guess for us, our role here is to make sure that we give them the right influences, and at the same time we pray that Lord give them the right reaction, give them the right motivation and how they are going to react to all these influences, because it says here there are only two possibilities daw na mahitabo, no, with this Godward orientation. It could be your kid will worship the true and living God, or they worship the idols. So again, this is just the first element. The second element here, tama di ay, for just for discussion, ano pud no, and I would also like to get some inputs po, maybe we can share. So from time to time, I'm gonna throw questions because again, our study, this is not really long. So I wanted na uh, coming from you too, no, unsa pud ang inyong ma-remember or na-learn or experiences that you can add uh, with this mga elements that we're going to discuss. And also at the NDI of our uh, session, I would also like to focus really more on prayer. No, so along the way as we discuss, maybe if you have a pen with you or something, if you can just ano sa inyong mind, what are really the things that we would really like to pour out to God at the end of this session, no? Personally for me, there's still a lot, no. I always tell myself I'm a person I'm a mother na still in progress. It's so hard to perfect this, and I don't know if there's such thing as perfect, but we can always try, and we will never stop in trying. So no matter how, no, kanang daghan na kaitag na learn, but again we really need to ask by God's grace gid lang alone that we can be able to do all this sa ato ang mga kids. So towards the end, if we can just um write down there the specific prayer items that you are struggling, or if you really wanted to share, no, or so we can really pray about it. What are the areas na gusto pagyud nato na ma-improve pagyud ta sa atong shepherding sa ato ang mga anak? So the question here is, what are some shaping influences that you had growing up that you are now implementing for your children? Maybe one or two that you can what do you think, no, na you can say pud na ay kani nakuha na ako kaning na ano na ako ni na shaping influences that I'm also implementing it to my kids. Anybody can answer. Shaping it could be, if we go back to our slide, um, like a value or a role, or how you deal with conflict. Na you can ano na it could also help us, no, yeah, learn from you.
Sige, unahan ko.
Sige, Doc. Unahin,
So,
Doc.
shaping influence ang kwan siguro
Here's the question.
ah, ang family values. Family
Mm-hmm.
values nga gina-implement ko man sa mga bata, which nga daw especially sa mga millennials na karon do hindi na siya mag mag-effective gid. Nga mo
Mm-hmm.
ginangako nga gina-struggle gid. Nga ang influence ang family values nga you have to do it na dili pwede nga chika-chika lang. Na kumbaga daw pang military style bala nga na which nga gaka-provoke ang mga bata to anger kag hindi nami ang effect sa ila do scary siya, too scary. Oo, kaysa ang una kami kung amuhon kami sa balay,
Yeah.
maano ka gid,
Mm-hmm.
ma-obey ka gid.
Mm-hmm.
Sila ya karon kanang mo bato. Murag mas makuan ka nga, do scary siya. So, yeah, mo gina ang oo.
Yeah. Tama gyud, Doc. I can relate to that. Okay, so don't worry, there will be more question pud, no, maybe you can answer sa next questions nato. So the second element here is the heart determines the behavior. So we should always remember, no, and the author always gives emphasis on this in every chapter, no, gina-mention gid niya ni na the heart determines the behavior. Learn therefore to work back from behavior to the heart. We have to expose heart struggles. Help our children see that they were made for a relationship with God. The first of the heart can be satisfied in truly knowing God. So we all know that again, all evil starts in the heart. Likewise, we say and do that our children do the things no that they do. It's because it's a reflection of their heart. Sometimes mag-wonder pud bitaw ko na asa man nila ni nakuha. You know how mothers, no, especially kita that we are really rooted pud no in Christian, kanang we grew up in a Christian home gyud na we always try to shield them. Shield yun nato pirmi. O kani dili pwede maminaw ana dili pat sometimes gyud no lisod gihapon gyud, and I don't know where they got it. Maybe because of again this social media and the use of gadgets gyud na has also a big impact pud sa mga bata karon. So there's a lot of issues, and I believe they are struggling. No,
Mm.
I believe they're struggling. I also remember before when I was a kid, I do struggles with evil
Mm.
things, issues, because we know already the truth. Same thing with them, no? For sure, everything that we teach them, it's already there in their minds and
Mm.
hearts. But it's just that because again, evil starts in the heart. They struggle with it. So here, ang emphasis lang again here is to just help them expose. Sometimes we, as mothers, na atay fear gyud no of uh, we are scared to know what's really going on with our kids,
Mm.
because maybe we don't want more trouble. We don't want to deal with issues,
Mm.
because we're scared also what to do when we know that there are issues with our kids. But again, um, we always have to to point them always to God, because even us, we cannot help them with their issues. We cannot help them fully with all the struggles and what's going the evil things in their hearts. It's only God who can do that. So again, we have to tell them that only God can really help their heart, and only through God that they can really be satisfied. And next is the question. So, why is it so easy to get sidetracked with behavior when issues of the heart are clearly so much important? Now that we know really that the heart is more important, but sometimes we still get sidetracked. We deal with behavior, especially kung ang behavior na anat gusto gid nato, wala na tayo pakialam sa atong himo, basta we have to correct it dayon right then and there. We're just we get sidetracked easily. We want to focus on behavior. Why do you think na ingon ana ta usahay mas more on focus gyud ka sa behavior rather than the issues of the heart?
Siguro Ma'am Pearl because kaning kuan magudta, wait lang ha. Kad madunggan ko,
Oo.
Mm.
madunggan ko do.
Yes, oo.
Hello.
Yes,
Oo.
yes. Mhm.
Maybe because ano magudta dali ta ano ba yun, dali ta makuan sa kanang i-comment sa uban, brother
Yes.
bothered,
Mhm.
right na
Mhm.
wala si kuan sa man tong mga bata uy nga kuan man ana di man
Mhm.
gabihave inani ana so kanang although dili gid siya dapat ang goal cleaning the kids pero kung we're out and open in the public murag ulaw man good yun. So more on
Mhm.
ang mga parents good right now especially kung wala good kay biblical ground ana or di mo gid ang first na you will do na kanang dapat ang behavior matarong yun kay mo may makita sa uban pero wala na siya but you are bothered by the people na they what will they say what will they think of us as a parent.
Yeah, that's exactly true, good ano. True, Denise, no, na that's one reason gid na we get easily sidetracked with behavior because we always ano kanang uh look at other people and what they're gonna say rather than just focusing on our kid. And so next element here is number 3. We have authority because God has made us his agent. So this means that we are on his errand, not ours. Our task is to help our children know God and the true nature reality. This will enable them to know themselves. So as parent, again, we have the authority that God has given to us. God calls us to be an agent, no, for our kids. So with this alone, knowing that they are not ours, God has just entrusted them to us. So our goal again is to make sure that we do when we shepherd them, it's not to please ourselves. It's not to satisfy us, no? To correct their behavior, it's not because it will make us good, but above all, we are doing it because we are glorifying God. Because again, hindi man they were just entrusted to us, no? And we are just agent. It's just like kung naatay boss, no, na naipahimo ang boss sa tua. Of course, we are doing it with all our heart sa best gyud nato because he wanted to please our boss and not really to please ourselves and satisfy us. Same thing sa Ginoo. And again, this authority, we will not take it also as a means, no, to execute it in a way na because we have the authority that God has given us. Again, God is higher than us, okay? And he has more authority, but then we have to execute it in a way that it is glorifying to the Lord, ang authority nato. And next slide is number 4. Since the chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy him forever, we must set such a worldview before our children. I like this, no? We really have to set a worldview to our kids, no? That above anything else, above all, why we are here and why we're doing what we are doing, eventually the chief end of all this is to glorify God. And because we are the agent, and so it is our responsibility to help them learn that only in him will they find themselves, only through God, no, that they will truly find themselves, who they are, no, and whatever success in the future that they will achieve, again, this will not make them who they are, but it is still God that defines them. And so the question here that I would like to throw is, what is our goal for our children? Like at this point, no, I know our children has different stages. Wala pa child ni si ano, but eventually magkaroon si Kat. What do you think is kanang murag goal gyud nato for them right now? Um, I would like to ask this question because sometimes we are confused about the world, ay kanang success in the world's view, no? Because again, if we're gonna look at the ang view sa world about goals sa children, it's they will also look at it as for them to be successful in life, no? For them to be happy, comfortable sila. Of course, who wouldn't want that, 'di ba? As parents, gusto man gyud nato pod, no? So do you think is it wrong to have that goal sa atuang anak na maayos ilang buhay, and then that's why ginasend nato sila sa school karon because eventually we want them to be on their own, and then they can survive, no, they can and they can have a good life for sure. So what do you think is our goal right now, or again, going back to our lesson again, that pointing it to ano no, to God. The end of all this is to glorify God. So this is again another way pud na ma-check na pud nato ato ang sarili na Lord, tama ba ni amo ang mga goals na ginahimo sa amo ang anak karon, or are we really are we in the right ano no track of setting goals for them that eventually it's still God who will be glorified and not us. So kay sa karon no, for me personally with my goals sa akong children is since gamay pa sila, a mother ang fear gyud pud nato no is kanang unsa na lang ni sila magdako especially with the kind of world that we are living right now. That's always been our fear, no? Unsa na lang kaya ang next generation? Unsa na lang kaya ang pwede pa na ma-expose sila because there's a lot of influences and things na ma-expose na we cannot be there all the time to shield them. So our goal, my goal right now with Kendrick and Caitlin, maybe because after all these learnings no na somehow na change good na change ang amo ang goal, we are right now ni Ronil to the point na uh, we will just say to the Lord na Lord, like right now we are trying to bring them back here again sa America, and it's scary in a way na with all the the culture here, but our goal is to just continue to expose them to the Bible, lead them, because I know if we seek God first and they will seek God first in their lives, all the success, everything will just follow, no? And I always emphasize pud sa ilahan na more than anything else, if you love God above anything else, you will be successful. I don't believe na a child of God, no, not unless your definition of success is different, no, na success like the world's view of success, but a child of God will always be successful if they will always seek God in their hearts. So anybody can add to that. What do you think is your kanang ultimate goal, or what is your goal right now, or if there is a goal right now that you wanted to change?
Kat,
Sa imong goal ka sa imong future
Tama
future
yung
kid.
katog yun Ma'am Pearl, kay kana mabantayan ko na ko sa kong self. Prayer mi sa akong mga pamangkin ba niya. Ana kanang mag-eskwela gyud dapat sila tarong para makahuman, makakitag nindot na trabaho niya. Bitaw no kanang dapat dili lang kana i-remind jud sila na kanang paduol gyud sa Ginoo kay saon man ng successful ka diri sa world pero wala kay relationship kay God. So kana ana mao jud na akong iampo ko diyan puhon og gatagan mig bata na kana di jud na mapasagdan na area na sila kay God. So katong katong topic na ko dok kay nakabasa man ko binak next Sunday na ko. So daghan pa didto iingon unsaon. So tana kana kung naampo ma-apply na ko ng godly discipline kay dapat gid ay siya nga consistent ka kay ako gani pasalamat ko sa mga pamangkin kay naay time nga di ko makabantay ako hay salamat man akong role kana igo ra ko motudlo paano na lang kaya ng whole day whole time gyud na nag-ano gyud ka sa ila kana so na puhon maging consistent ko magdiscipline kay mao man daw na gyud ang kinahanglan mo to siya nag-ano na gyud ko kay gyud siya di siya dali pero kung tagaan mo o ano na ko ron na dili na kay ko hadlok kay kabalo man ko na plano na sa Ginoo mahatagan gyud mi then maano gyud na malampos gyud na if ever man hatagan mi niyang anak. So mo to siya do.
may Chat di si Denise, Pearl.
Sige.
Oo.
Hindi ko lagi is paano siya i-open, Doc.
Iba-sound ko?
Sige, Doc. Oo.
Oo. Or then, ikaw na lang mabasa, tapos
Sige, Doc.
comment.
Mhm.
Oo.
Oo.
Mo to siya, no, our goal for our children is dili, I think, dili good mawala ang we can provide better education for
Mhm.
them
Yeah.
to graduate in college, have a degree, get a good job, but siguro mga ano lang na siya, mga goals na to appeal siya, but our main goal should be kanang for them to have a genuine relationship with God, you know, and for
Mhm.
kay mo man gyud na siyang start for them to be saved and para po their lives to be glorifying to God. So mo gyud na siya tong main goal. So mo to siya kanang natay mga other goals, but our main goal should be for them to lead to Christ and live their
Yes.
life as
Mhm.
Christ-like people.
Mhm.
To siya mga
Yeah.
Pearly.
And the assurance good of salvation
Yes.
sa mga anak nato.
Medyo
And okay, number
must na
5. So
ato
two more elements. And then we will be done. Number 5, it says biblical goals must be accomplished through biblical methods. So we will always remember, good, no, the biblical goals must always be accomplished through biblical methods, so as not to confuse the kids. Therefore, we must reject the substitute methods that our culture presents. Like right now, again, let us not be sidetracked with the world's view, because sometimes there are mga methods that the world will introduce to us that it seems like it's good, because sometimes, no, if you really listen to those mga shows like mga opera show, mga naapa na diri sikat kaayo diri sa states na psychologist, na this is really what he does in the TV, teaching how to discipline kids, how to help them with depression and what issues of ano no teenagers and stuff like that. So it seems like good ang methods nila, but again we will always go back to the biblical truth. And the methods again should always complement with our biblical goals, because kung dili man gud ta consistent with this, like our biblical goals for our kids is to really point them to God, right? But the method that we do sometimes doesn't really because we can be too much pud sa ato ang paggamit sa rod, that they can no longer see the love of God in us. No, it's just more on hatred na lang gyud, kasuko, sobra na kasuko na ulatahon na gyud ang anak. So it doesn't match with our goals. So again, there's two methods that was pointed out here, if you can always remember that. The God-given methods of child rearing, which is communication and God. This is so easy to remember, kay there's just two things, na gusto sa Ginoo that we are gonna use as a method of child rearing, compared to all the thousands of methods that the world is always introducing to us. Number one is communication. Communication, if you remember, na-learn nato, this is not just merely communication lang, a shallow communication, but it should be a rich communication. And how we can attain that rich communication is to really get to know our kids, allow them to express themselves. It's not all us talk talk talk, no, having feeling nato we have all the authority to talk to our children, because God gave us the authority, and we will always tell them to shut up, listen to mommy, listen to what I'm gonna say. Okay, we have the tendency to do that, but again, what the Lord wants is for them to be able to really freely express themselves without any fear in their hearts, because that's what a mom should be, no, we are not just moms, but we are also a friend to them, that they can talk, no, that they can say ang mga struggles nila, what they're going through sa ilahang mga issues in their hearts. So again, this is one area that personally I would like to really pray it towards the end, no, sa ato ang session, this communication part, because I know it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy, kid. No, dealing with the generation of kids right now. It's so hard to get into their world. Sometimes it's so hard to really know, because they can be too quiet, or they can be too talkative, expressing things na sometimes it doesn't really make sense. But again, God will give us the grace to be able to deal with this. Another thing is the rod. Na-emphasize naman gid na, no, during our study, the importance of the rod. And again, it signifies authority. Why does God want us to use rod, not just communication? Again, because the rod will at least, no, kanang maka sa tung naatoy term na gi ano si Doc Hasa last time, no, that ma-remember na ko, it will at least mag-alert, awaken the child, no? Kay sometimes communication is not just enough. Sometimes physical na ano to hurt them, so that they can really feel, no, the depth sa ilahang gihimo. Um because even God, before, when he punishes people, there's always consequence. Again, rod will always uh help the kids remember that in every sin that they do, there is always consequence too. And again, these methods must be woven together. We cannot just use rod alone, or we cannot just use communication. These two things should be woven together, because after we use the rod, again at the end we have to really explain to the kid, no, why we did that, and what is the purpose of doing that. So our children need to be known and understood. Thus, rich communication is necessary. They also need authority and firmness. Thus, the rod functions to underscore the importance of things we talk about with them. Yay! Thank God we finished chapter 13. And so that's the end of chapter 1. And so I guess in part 2, it's going to be a more detailed kanang ano pag yun, no, learnings dealing with different stages of development na, like sa mga teens, no, sa mga young ones. So I guess it's going to be more interesting as we deal with part 2.